Lisa Hayes moved quickly through the transport ship as the hyperspace countdown reached 20 seconds. Her heart pounded as she made her way to the emergency pod bay. She had never disobeyed orders before, but she could not abandon Queen Vela. Other soldiers were strapped into their seats preparing for the jump to hyperspace. Nobody noticed Lisa slip away from her position. The emergency pods were designed for ship disasters, but they could also return to a planet's surface if needed. 10 seconds to hyperspace jump, the pilot's voice echoed through the ship. Lisa climbed into pod number 3 and started the launch sequence. Her hand shook as she entered the destination coordinates for planet Zara 7. The pod's small computer showed warnings about returning to a combat zone, but Lisa ignored them. 5 seconds to hyperspace jump. Lisa hit the launch button just as the transport ship disappeared into hyperspace. Her small pod tumbled through space toward the planet below. Through the tiny window, she could see the Krex fleet spreading out like a dark cloud around Zara 7. The pod's heat shields glowed red as it entered the atmosphere. Lisa was thrown against her restraints as the small craft shook and spun. The gear. Automated systems were trying to find a safe landing spot, but plasma explosions lit up the sky all around her. She crashed in a forest of crystal trees about 5 miles from the capital city. The pod's emergency beacon was flashing, but Lisa quickly turned it off. She did not want the Krex to track her signal. Her rifle and ammunition had survived the crash, along with her communication equipment and medical supplies. Lisa began moving toward Queen Vela's palace. The crystal trees around her were beautiful even in the middle of war. They hummed with musical sounds as wind passed through their hollow branches. But now many of them were broken by falling debris from the space battle overhead. As she got closer to the city, Lisa could see the damage from the Krex attacks. Several crystal buildings had collapsed and fires burned in the residential districts. Zarian civilians ran through the streets carrying their belongings and looking for safe places to hide. Lisa avoided the main roads and moved through side alleys. Her military training helped her stay hidden from Krex patrol units that had landed throughout the city. The enemy soldiers looked like giant insects in their black armor, with glowing red sensors where their eyes should be. Near the market district, Lisa found a group of wounded Zarian soldiers hiding in a damaged building. Their leader was a female warrior named Captain Zara, who had worked with human forces during training exercises. Zara had 3 of her 4 arms wrapped in bandages, and purple blood stained her silver uniform. "Lisa Hayes," Captain Zara said, in surprise. "Why are you not with your people in space?" "I came back to help Queen Vela," Lisa replied. "Where is she now?" Captain Zara pointed toward the palace with her uninjured arm. "Her Majesty is in the throne room trying to maintain the city's defensive barriers, but she is growing weak. The barriers fail more often now and Krex bombing runs are getting through." Lisa gave Captain Zara her medical supplies. "Get your soldiers to the underground shelters. I am going to the palace." "It is too dangerous," Captain Zara warned. "The Krex have surrounded the palace with heavy weapons. Their ground forces are preparing for a final assault." Lisa checked her rifle and started toward the door. "Then I need to reach the Queen before they attack." Moving through the city was like navigating a nightmare. Krex aircraft screamed overhead, dropping explosive charges on government buildings. Their ground vehicles rolled through the streets, crushing anything in their path. Lisa had to hide several times as enemy patrols searched for survivors. She reached the palace district just as Queen Vela's defensive barriers flickered and failed completely. The beautiful crystal towers that protected the royal compound cracked and fell as Krex plasma cannons concentrated their fire. The sound was like breaking glass mixed with thunder. Lisa saw Queen Vela appear on her private balcony high above the courtyard. The Queen's blue skin was pale with exhaustion, and she moved slowly as she tried to channel more energy into the failing defenses. Her 4 arms trembled with the effort of maintaining even weak barriers around the palace. Krex soldiers were already climbing over the outer walls. Lisa counted at least 50 enemy troops advancing through the royal gardens. Their weapons were raised and ready to fire at anything that moved. Lisa found a service entrance that led into the palace basement. The crystal corridors were dark, because power had been cut to preserve energy for the defensive systems. She used her rifle's tactical light to navigate through storage rooms and maintenance tunnels. The sound of combat echoed through the building as Zarian palace guards fought against Krek's invaders on the upper levels. Lisa could hear plasma weapons firing and the crash of crystal walls being destroyed. Sometimes she heard the distinctive sound of Zarian energy weapons, but mostly it was the harsh buzz of Krek's plasma rifles. Lisa reached the main palace levels through a hidden stairway. The beautiful crystal walls were cracked and blackened from weapon impacts. Tapestries that showed Zarian history were burning on the floors. The palace that had seemed so peaceful during her guard duties was now a war zone. She found Queen Vela in the throne room, surrounded by the bodies of her loyal guards. The queen was kneeling beside her crystal throne, her hands pressed against the floor as she tried to draw power from the palace's energy reserves. Her crown had fallen beside her, its jewels dim and lifeless. "Your Majesty?" Lisa called out as she entered the chamber. Queen Vela looked up, her silver eyes wide with surprise. "Lisa Hayes, you should not be here. Your people have escaped to safety." Lisa knelt beside the queen and helped her stand. "I could not leave you to face this alone, Your Majesty. My grandmother taught me that friends do not abandon each other." "Queen." Vela smiled despite her exhaustion. "Your grandmother was wise, but I fear we cannot escape this time. The Kreks have brought their entire war fleet, and my powers are almost gone." Outside the throne room, Lisa could hear Krek soldiers moving through the palace corridors. Their metal boots rang against the crystal floors as they searched room by room. Soon they would reach the throne room, and then both Lisa and Queen Vela would be captured or killed. Lisa helped Queen Vela toward a hidden passage behind the throne. "Is there somewhere we can hide until you recover your strength?" "There is a sanctuary deep beneath the palace," Queen Vela said. "But the passage is long, and I am not sure I can make the journey." Lisa supported Queen Vela with one arm while holding her rifle with the other. "We will make it together, Your Majesty. Humans never give up." The warning siren screamed across the military base on planet Zara 7 as Private Lisa Hayes grabbed her combat gear from her locker. Red emergency lights flashed in the hallway while soldiers ran past her toward the landing pads. The evacuation order had come suddenly at 300 hours. Lisa had been dreaming of her home on Earth when Commander Brooks burst into the barracks. His face was pale as he shouted over the alarms. The Krek's empire was coming with a massive fleet. All human personnel had 2 hours to evacuate before the enemy arrived. But Lisa could not stop thinking about Queen Vela. The tall alien ruler with blue skin and 4 graceful arms had become more than just another diplomatic assignment. For 3 months, Lisa had served as the Queen's personal guard. She had watched Vela use her psychic powers to protect her people from raiders and space pirates. The Queen was different from other alien leaders Lisa had met. Vela did not sit safely in her palace while others fought. She stood on the front lines, creating energy shields to protect Zarian soldiers and civilians. Her silver eyes showed real pain when her people suffered. Lisa remembered the first time she met Queen Vela. The Queen had been meditating in her crystal garden when plasma bolts from pirate ships started falling on the city. Instead of running to safety, Vela had spread her forearms wide and created a glowing barrier over the entire capital. The effort left her weak for days, but thousands of lives were saved. Now Lisa ran through the corridors of the human embassy building. Outside the windows she could see Zarian civilians fleeing in panic. Their crystal buildings sparkled in the morning light, but smoke was already rising from the outer settlements where advanced Krek scouts had landed. The embassy was chaos. Diplomats stuffed important documents into bags while Marines loaded heavy weapons onto hover trucks. Ambassador Kate Miller was shouting orders into her communication device. Her usually perfect hair was messy, and her formal dress was wrinkled from being woken so early. Lisa found Commander Brooks near the main exit. He was checking evacuation lists on his tablet computer. His gray hair was damp with sweat despite the cool morning air. "Hayes, good. You are on Transport 7 with the other guards. Lift off in 90 minutes, Brooks said without looking up. "Sir, what about Queen Vela and her people?" Lisa asked. Brooks finally raised his eyes. They looked tired and sad. The Zarians have their own evacuation plans. Our job is to get all humans off this planet safely. That includes you, Private. Lisa watched through the embassy windows as Zarian families loaded their belongings onto small flying vehicles. Children clung to their parents while the adults looked up at the sky with fear. In the distance, the Queen's palace rose like a mountain of living crystal, its towers reaching toward the clouds. The Queen saved my life twice, sir. She protected our people during the pirate raids. We cannot just abandon her, Lisa said. Commander Brooks put his hand on Lisa's shoulder. I know you care about her, Hayes, but Earth Command was very clear. If we do not leave now, the Kreks will capture or kill every human on this planet. We have families back home who need us to return safely. Lisa nodded, but her heart felt heavy. She thought about her grandmother who had raised her on a small farming colony. The old woman had always said that good people do not abandon their friends when trouble comes. But Lisa was a soldier, and soldiers follow orders. She walked to the landing pad where Transport 7 was waiting. The ship was a large military vessel designed to carry 50 people. Other soldiers were already climbing aboard, their faces grim. Most of them had worked with Zarian forces during joint training exercises. They knew they were leaving allies, behind to face the Kreks alone. Lisa took a seat near a window and watched the embassy empty. Transport ships lifted off one by one, carrying humans to safety. In the distance, she could see explosions as Kreks advance forces attacked Zarian defensive positions. The beautiful crystal city was starting to burn. Through her window, Lisa saw Queen Vela appear on the highest balcony of her palace. Even from this distance, the queen looked regal and strong. Her forearms were raised as she channeled her psychic energy into protective barriers around the city. The effort made her glow with soft blue light. All personnel aboard Transport 7, prepare for immediate departure, the pilot announced, over the ship's speakers. Lisa felt the engines start to warm up beneath her feet. In minutes, they would be in space, jumping to hyperspace and heading back to Earth. She would be safe, but Queen Vela would be alone against an entire enemy fleet. The transport began to rise from the landing pad. Through her window, Lisa watched the planet's surface fall away. The crystal cities looked like jewels scattered across green continents. Soon, this beautiful world might be nothing but ash and ruins. Other soldiers on the transport were quiet. Nobody talked about the friends they were leaving behind. Nobody mentioned the Zarian families they had worked with and grown to care about. But Lisa could see the pain in their faces. As they reached orbit, Lisa saw the massive Kreks fleet approaching. Hundreds of dark warships moved toward planet Zara 7 like hungry predators. Their weapons were already charging, ready to destroy anything that resisted them. The transport pilot opened a communication channel to Earth Command. Transport 7 is clear of the planet, beginning hyperspace jump in 60 seconds. Lisa pressed her face against the window for one last look at planet Zara 7. The Queen's palace was still glowing as Vela poured her life force into protecting her world. But Lisa knew it would not be enough. The Kreks had brought too many ships and too many weapons. 30 seconds to hyperspace jump, the pilot announced. Lisa closed her eyes and made a decision that would change everything. Lisa helped Queen Vela through the hidden passage behind the crystal throne. The corridor was narrow and carved from natural rock beneath the palace. Ancient Zarian symbols glowed softly on the walls, providing just enough light to see the path ahead. Queen Vela moved slowly, her forearms pressed against the tunnel walls for support. The psychic effort of maintaining the city's defenses had drained almost all her energy. Her blue skin had faded to a pale gray color, and Lisa could see that the Queen was fighting to stay conscious. How much further to the sanctuary? Lisa asked as explosions echoed from the palace above them. Not far now, Queen Vela whispered. This passage was built by my ancestors for times of great danger. It leads to a chamber filled with power crystals that can restore my abilities. Behind them, Lisa could hear Krek soldiers discovering the hidden entrance. Their harsh voices bounced off the tunnel walls as they began to follow the passage downward. Lisa knew they had maybe 10 minutes before the enemy caught up with them. The tunnel opened into a vast underground chamber carved from solid crystal. The walls sparkled with thousands of small gems that pulsed with inner light. In the center of the room stood a raised platform surrounded by 6 large crystals that hummed with stored energy. Queen Vela staggered toward the platform but collapsed before reaching it. Lisa caught her and helped her climb onto the crystal surface. As soon as the queen touched the platform, the surrounding crystals began to glow brighter. This is where the first Zarian rulers learned to channel the planet's life force, Queen Vela explained as energy slowly returned to her body. The crystals contain the accumulated power of 1,000 generations. Lisa positioned herself at the chamber entrance with her rifle ready. Through the tunnel, she could see the glow of Krek's tactical lights getting closer. The enemy soldiers were moving carefully, probably expecting a trap or ambush. "How long do you need to recover?" Lisa asked. "At least an hour to restore enough power to be useful," Queen Vela replied. "But we do not have that much time." The first Krek soldier appeared at the tunnel mouth. Lisa fired immediately, her rifle's energy bolt striking the enemy in the center of his chest. The soldier fell backward, but more took his place. Lisa counted at least a dozen hostiles advancing down the tunnel. Lisa used the chamber's crystal formations for cover as she engaged the enemy. Her military training took over as she fired, moved, and fired again. The Krek's soldiers were well armored, but her rifle's energy bolts could penetrate their protection at close range. But Lisa was outnumbered and running low on ammunition. The Kreks kept pushing forward, using their superior firepower to force her back toward the central platform. Their plasma weapons sent molten crystal flying through the air with each shot. "Your Majesty, can you use any of that power to help us?" Lisa called out while reloading her rifle. Queen Vela pressed her hands against the crystal platform. "I am trying, but it takes time to channel this much energy safely. If I draw too much too quickly, it could kill me." More Krek soldiers poured into the chamber. Lisa realized she could not hold them all back with just her rifle. She made a desperate decision and activated one of her grenades, throwing it toward the tunnel entrance. The explosion brought down part of the ceiling, blocking the passage but also trapping them in the chamber. "That will not stop them for long," Lisa said as she heard the sound of Krek's engineers setting up drilling equipment. "They will blast through in minutes." Queen Vela stood up from the platform, her skin glowing with renewed power. She was still weak, but the crystals had restored some of her abilities. "Then we must be ready for them." The queen moved to the chamber walls and began touching different crystal formations. Each one she touched began to pulse with energy, creating a network of power that spread throughout the room. Lisa could feel the air itself becoming charged with psychic force. "What are you doing?" Lisa asked. "Preparing a trap," Queen Vela replied. "When the Kreks break through, they will enter a chamber filled with stored energy. If I can control the release properly, I can create a feedback pulse that will disable their equipment and weapons." The drilling sounds grew louder as the Kreks worked to clear the tunnel. Soon Lisa could see sparks flying as their cutting tools burned through the fallen rock. She had maybe 5 minutes before they broke through. Lisa used the time to help Queen Vela prepare the crystal trap. The queen showed her how to touch specific crystals in sequence to build up the energy charge. Working together, they turned the entire chamber into a massive psychic weapon. "This will use most of my remaining strength," Queen Vela warned. "After this, I will not be able to maintain any barriers around the city. My people will be defenseless." Lisa checked her rifle and prepared for the final confrontation. "Then we need to make sure this works perfectly." The tunnel wall exploded inward as Krek's demolition charges cleared the blockage. Enemy soldiers rushed into the chamber with their weapons raised, expecting to find Lisa and Queen Vela trapped and helpless. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by glowing crystals charged with deadly energy. Queen Vela raised her 4 arms and spoke a single word in the ancient Zarian language. Every crystal in the chamber flashed with brilliant light as stored psychic energy discharged all at once. The Krek soldiers screamed as their armor systems overloaded and their weapons exploded in their hands. The feedback pulse was so powerful that it traveled back through the tunnel and into the palace above. Lisa could hear Krek's equipment failing throughout the building as the psychic wave disrupted their electronic systems. But the effort left Queen Vela unconscious. She collapsed onto the crystal platform, her breathing shallow and her skin faded to almost white. Lisa checked her pulse and found it weak but steady. The Krek soldiers in the chamber were dead or unconscious, their high-tech equipment reduced to smoking scrap metal. But Lisa knew more enemies would come once they realized what had happened. She needed to find a way to get Queen Vela to safety and medical attention. Lisa activated her personal communication device, hoping the psychic pulse had not damaged it. To her relief, the small radio still worked. She began transmitting on emergency frequencies, hoping someone friendly was listening. "This is Private Lisa Hayes calling any Earth or Zarian forces. I am in the underground sanctuary beneath Queen Vela's palace. The Queen is alive but needs immediate medical assistance. Please respond if anyone can hear this message." Static filled the radio for several seconds. Then a voice came through clearly. "Lisa Hayes, this is Captain Amy Brooks of the Earth Cruiser Defender. We received your emergency signal and are moving to assist. Hold your position and keep the Queen safe. Help is coming." Lisa looked down at Queen Vela's unconscious form. The alien ruler had risked everything to protect her world and her people. Now Lisa would do whatever it took to make sure the Queen survived to see her planet free from Krek's occupation. Above ground, the sound of battle was changing. Instead of just Krek's weapons firing, Lisa could now hear the distinctive whine of Earth, plasma cannons, and the musical tones of Zarian energy weapons. The rescue fleet had arrived. The sound of space combat thundered through the crystal chamber as Earth and Zarian ships engaged the Krek's fleet in orbit above planet Zara 7. Lisa knelt beside Queen Vela, monitoring the unconscious ruler's vital signs while listening to radio communications from the rescue operation. "All Earth and Zarian forces, this is Admiral Nancy Price aboard the battleship Liberty. We are beginning orbital bombardment of Krek's ground positions. All friendly forces take cover immediately." The voice crackled through Lisa's radio. Lisa looked up at the crystal ceiling as massive explosions shook the underground sanctuary. The psychic pulse had disabled Krek's equipment throughout the palace, but she knew enemy reinforcements would arrive soon. She needed to find a way to signal the rescue teams and get medical help for Queen Vela. The Queen's breathing was getting weaker. Her blue skin had faded to almost white, and Lisa could see that the effort of creating the psychic trap had pushed her body beyond its limits. Without proper medical treatment, Queen Vela might not survive the next hour. Lisa activated her emergency beacon and set it to broadcast on all frequencies. "This is Private Lisa Hayes in the underground sanctuary beneath the royal palace. Queen Vela is alive but critically injured. We need immediate medical evacuation." A new voice responded through her radio. "Private Hayes, this is Dr. Helen Carter aboard the medical ship Mercy. We are preparing to land rescue teams at your location. Can you give us your exact position?" Lisa looked around the crystal chamber, trying to find landmarks she could describe. "We are approximately 50 meters directly below the throne room. There is a hidden passage behind the royal throne that leads to this chamber. But be careful. There may still be active Krek's soldiers in the palace." "Understood, Private. We are sending a joint rescue team with Earth Marines and Zarian warriors. They will reach you within 20 minutes. Lisa felt relief wash over her. Help was coming, but she still needed to keep Queen Vela stable until the medical team arrived. She used her first aid training to check the Queen's pulse and breathing, making sure her airway remained clear. Queen Vela's silver eyes opened slowly. She was conscious but very weak. "Lisa," she whispered. "The battle above. What is happening?" "Earth ships came back for us," Lisa explained. "Admiral Price brought a whole fleet. They are fighting the Kreks right now." Queen Vela tried to sit up but was too weak. "My people, are they safe?" Lisa helped the Queen lie back down on the crystal platform. "The rescue teams are evacuating civilians from the city. Captain Amy Brooks told me that most of your population reached the underground shelters before the main attack." Outside the chamber, Lisa could hear the sound of combat in the palace corridors above. But now it was different. Instead of just Krek's weapons, she heard the familiar sound of Earth plasma rifles and Zarian energy blasters. The rescue teams were fighting their way through the building. "Private Hayes, this is Sergeant Bobby Chen with the rescue team. We are in the throne room now. Where is the entrance to your position?" Lisa activated her radio. Behind the throne, there is a crystal panel that slides aside. Press the blue gem in the center and the passage will open. Minutes later, Lisa saw lights approaching through the tunnel. The rescue team included 4 Earth Marines in combat armor and 6 Zarian warriors in their traditional silver uniforms. Leading them was a human medic carrying advanced medical equipment. Dr. Helen Carter knelt beside Queen Vela and immediately began scanning her with medical instruments. She is in severe psychic exhaustion. Her nervous system is overloaded from channeling too much energy at once. We need to get her to the medical ship immediately. The rescue team had brought a hover stretcher that could navigate the narrow tunnel. They carefully moved Queen Vela onto the device, while Dr. Carter administered emergency medications to stabilize her condition. "Private Hayes," said Sergeant Chen, "Command wants to know why you returned to the planet. Your transport ship reported you missing when they reached Earth space." Lisa helped carry the Queen's stretcher toward the tunnel entrance. "I could not abandon Her Majesty, Sergeant. She has saved human lives many times. It was my duty to protect her." As they moved through the tunnel back toward the palace, Lisa could hear the battle raging outside. The Kreks were fighting desperately to maintain control of the capital city, but the combined Earth and Zarian forces were pushing them back. In the throne room, Lisa saw the damage from the recent fighting. Crystal walls were shattered and scorch marks covered the beautiful floors. But Zarian banners were being raised again as the royal palace was retaken from enemy forces. Captain Amy Brooks was waiting in the throne room with a squad of Earth Marines. She looked surprised to see Lisa emerge from the hidden passage with Queen Vela. "Private Hayes, you disobeyed direct orders by returning to this planet," Captain Brooks said sternly. "Do you understand the charges you could face?" Lisa stood at attention, while the medical team prepared to evacuate Queen Vela. "Yes, ma'am, but I would make the same choice again. The Queen needed help and humans do not abandon their allies." Captain Brooks looked at Queen Vela on the medical stretcher, then back at Lisa. Her expression softened slightly. "The Queen's condition. Will she recover?" Dr. Carter looked up from her medical equipment. "With proper treatment aboard our medical ship, she should make a full recovery. But if Private Hayes had not been here to protect her during the psychic feedback, she would have died." Queen Vela's weak voice spoke from the stretcher. "Captain Brooks, Lisa Hayes is a hero. She saved not only my life but the lives of thousands of my people. When everyone else fled to safety, she chose to stay and fight." The rescue team began, moving toward the palace landing pad where their transport ship was waiting. Earth and Zarian fighters screamed overhead, chasing the retreating Kreks fleet toward the edge of the star system. Outside the palace, Lisa could see that the capital city was still burning in many places, but Zarian civilians were emerging from their shelters and rescue teams were searching the rubble for survivors. The immediate danger was over. As they loaded Queen Vela onto the medical transport, the Queen reached out with one of her 4 hands to touch Lisa's arm. "Thank you, brave Lisa. Your grandmother would be proud of the knight she raised." Lisa squeezed the Queen's hand gently. "Rest now, Your Majesty. Your world is safe." The transport ship lifted off from the palace landing pad and headed toward the medical ship Mercy in orbit. Through the windows, Lisa could see the Kreks fleet retreating in disorder, while Earth and Zarian warships pursued them. Dr. Carter worked over Queen Vela during the short flight to the medical ship. Her vital signs are stabilizing. The immediate crisis is over, but she will need several weeks of recovery time. Lisa felt exhaustion hitting her for the first time since she had left the evacuation transport. The adrenaline of combat was wearing off, and she realized how much her body was aching from the underground battle. Captain Brooks sat down beside Lisa in the transport. "The Admiral wants to see you when we reach the fleet. Your actions today may have prevented a war between the Kreks Empire and the Allied worlds." Lisa looked back toward planet Zara 7 through the transport window. "I just did what felt right, ma'am. The Queen has been a friend to humanity. Friends help each other." 3 weeks later, Lisa Hayes stood on the observation deck of the Earth battleship Liberty, watching as construction ships worked to repair the damage to planet Zara 7. The crystal cities sparkled in the sunlight as Zarian and human engineers rebuilt what the Kreks had destroyed. Queen Vela had recovered fully from her injuries and was now working alongside Admiral Nancy Price to plan the planet's reconstruction. The alliance between Earth and the Zarian worlds had grown stronger because of the crisis, with new trade agreements and defense treaties being signed every day. Lisa wore a new uniform with fresh insignia on her collar. She had been promoted to sergeant and awarded the Medal of Valor for her actions during the battle. But the recognition that meant most to her was the crystal pendant Queen Vela had given her, a traditional Zarian symbol of friendship and courage. "Sergeant Hayes, report to Admiral Price in Conference Room Alpha," announced the ship's communication system. Lisa made her way through the Liberty's corridors to the meeting room. Inside, she found Admiral Price, Queen Vela, and several other high-ranking officers from both Earth and Zarian forces. A large holographic display showed images of the rebuilt capital city. Admiral Price stood as Lisa entered. "Sergeant Hayes, please take a seat. We have some important matters to discuss with you." Lisa sat at the conference table, wondering if she was in trouble despite her recent promotion. Military bureaucracy moved slowly, and she knew that disobeying evacuation orders could still result in disciplinary action. Queen Vela smiled at Lisa with her graceful four-armed gesture of greeting. The Queen's blue skin had returned to its normal vibrant color, and her silver eyes sparkled with renewed health. "Lisa, my dear friend, I hope you have been well during these past weeks." "Very well, Your Majesty. It is good to see you recovered," Lisa replied. Admiral Price activated the holographic display, showing detailed images of the Zarian homeworld. "Sergeant, we have received some interesting intelligence about Krek's movements in this sector. It appears your actions during the battle have had consequences beyond what we initially realized." The display changed to show a star map, with Krek's fleet positions marked in red. Lisa noticed that the enemy forces were retreating from several systems they had previously occupied. "The psychic pulse you and Queen Vela created did more than just disable local Krek's equipment," explained Colonel Janet Stone, the fleet intelligence officer. "The energy wave was so powerful that it disrupted Krek's communication networks across 3 star systems. Their entire invasion force lost coordination for several hours." Queen Vela leaned forward in her chair. "More importantly, the pulse carried a psychic signature that Krek's minds found very disturbing. Our telepaths believe it has made the enemy afraid to attack Zarian worlds again." Lisa looked at the star map with growing understanding. "So the Kreks are pulling back because they fear another psychic weapon." "Exactly," Admiral Price confirmed. "Your decision to return and help Queen Vela may have prevented years of war throughout this sector. The Alliance Council wants to offer you a new assignment." The holographic display changed again, showing a sleek new starship under construction in Earth's orbital shipyards. It was smaller than a battleship but heavily armed and designed for long-range missions. "This is the ESS Friendship, a new class of diplomatic cruiser," Admiral Price explained. "It is designed to carry both human and alien crew members on missions to strengthen our alliances. We would like you to serve as Chief Security Officer." Lisa studied the ship's specifications on the display. It was beautiful and advanced, with the latest technology and weapon systems. But what interested her most was the crew manifest, which showed humans and Zarians working side by side. "Queen Vela has agreed to assign some of her best warriors to serve aboard the Friendship," Colonel Stone added. "The ship will be a symbol of cooperation between our peoples." Queen Vela stood and walked to the large window overlooking planet Zara 7. "Lisa, you showed that friendship between different species is possible even in the darkest times. I believe you would be perfect for this mission." Lisa felt honored but also nervous about such a big responsibility. "Admiral, I am just a sergeant. Are you sure I am qualified for such an important position?" Admiral Price smiled. "Sergeant, you left a safe transport ship and returned to a war zone to help an alien ruler you barely knew. You fought an entire enemy army with just a rifle and determination. You helped create a weapon that ended an invasion. I think you are exactly what we need." Lisa looked around the conference room at the faces watching her. These were some of the most important military and political leaders in known space, and they were asking her to help build a better future for all species. "I accept the assignment," Lisa said finally. "When do we begin?" "The Friendship will be ready for launch in 2 months," Admiral Price replied. You will spend that time training with your new crew and learning about diplomatic protocols. Queen Vela returned to her seat and placed one of her hands on Lisa's shoulder. I have already selected Captain Zara to serve as your second in command. She has recovered from her injuries and is eager to work with humans again. Lisa remembered Captain Zara from their meeting in the damaged building during the battle. Yiso. Zarian warrior had impressed her with her courage and leadership. Working together would be an honor. Over the following weeks, Lisa threw herself into preparing for her new role. She studied interspecies communication, learned about different alien cultures, and trained with advanced weapon systems. The work was challenging but exciting. The crew of the Friendship began assembling at Earth's main orbital station. Lisa met engineers from 5 different worlds, scientists who spoke 12 languages, and warriors who had fought in battles across the galaxy. But they all shared one thing in common, a belief that different species could work together for peace. On launch day, Lisa stood on the bridge of the ESS Friendship as it prepared to leave Earth orbit. Through the main view screen, she could see planet Zara 7 in the distance, its crystal cities gleaming like jewels against the darkness of space. Queen Vela appeared on the communication screen from her rebuilt palace. Captain Hayes, the people of Zara 7 wish you success on your first mission. May your ship be a bridge between all the species of the galaxy. Lisa had been promoted to captain to match her new responsibilities. It still felt strange to hear the rank, but she was determined to earn it through her actions. Thank you, Your Majesty. We will do our best to honor the friendship between our peoples, Lisa replied. As the Friendship began its journey to its first diplomatic mission, Lisa thought about her grandmother back on Earth. The old woman had always said that good people help each other no matter what. Now Lisa had a chance to help entire worlds work together. The stars stretched out ahead of them, full of possibilities for new alliances and lasting peace. Lisa Hayes, the farm girl who had become a soldier and then a hero, was ready for whatever challenges awaited them in the vast galaxy. Behind them, planet Zara 7 continued to rebuild and grow stronger, protected by the friendship between humans and Zarians that would last for generations to come.